Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday morning, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Also, guys, if you're on Instagram, please be sure to follow me, and I'll be sure to follow you back. Also, those of you who are interested in my giveaway, I'm giving away $1,000, not to one person, but on my Facebook lives tomorrow for anybody who's in need, not want, but in need. Please come on over, join me on Facebook. You'll see the directions when you get there. So I want to respond to this email. I have a pretty full day today, so this definitely won't be long. I know I always say that, but this won't be long, but we'll see. So I got an email from a young lady, and she's really, really going through it. She's very, very clear on the season she's in. She's very clear on what God is doing. She knows God wants to take her higher because she's one of these individuals who always known she was supposed to be elevated, but she kind of suppressed herself because it was almost like, she was in the one in the family who had been successful, had had a great marriage, etc. And then the others kind of like made her feel like to be too bougie, right? I know some of you got those people in your lives like that. It's like you're suppressing who you really are and all of your greatness because they are in their feelings for whatever reason, right? So God is not playing with her any longer. It's like, listen, I've called you to better. I've called you to more. I've called you to higher. And you're sitting here suppressing yourself because you're worried about people. Where in this season, I need my peoples. However, I choose to use you. But your girl is having a really, really rough time. In fact, the subject line in her email is all caps that says, but it hurts. And as she went on further, she's having a difficult time with losing people. Things aren't really bothering her, but it's the people she's losing. And as I read through her email, you can feel she's going through it, right? But I want to be very, very, very clear, all caps, very clear about something. When you hear me talk about when God starts to remove people before he elevates you and things like that, remember, I'm speaking post-storm, right? Post-transitional season. So when I speak on it, I'm speaking from a place of confidence because I now know what was on the other side because I'm living on the other side. But hear me, sis, when I was in it, listen, woo, it hurts. And here's what really hurts. When God is asking you to leave or remove some of them, or in my case, a couple of them, when there's no clear indication on why. Like there's a few you just know, like, all right, me and this person we're just comfortable with each other at this point. So it's easy to move on from this person, or this person has been toxic, but because I was, dealing with toxic empathy, I couldn't walk away from them because I didn't want them to feel like I was abandoning them. So those ones like that, it's easier to walk away from because you were just hanging on for whatever reason anyway. But those ones that God haven't even told you why, and you can't even fathom in your mind why, because this is really a good person. There's nothing toxic. That's what really hurts too. But I can tell you this now because I know for me, and there's different reasons. For me, it was because, again, I was relying on their answers too much. And that's not even me. Like, I'm solid, in my leadership mindset. But when you're going through rough storms like that, you're so all over the place. I mean, your self-esteem is to the floor. So you don't have any confidence in trying to really like hear a word for yourself. And even when you hear it, you don't even believe it because it's like you're going through so much. So you're asking God for 1,000 signs, even though he's given you one clear sign. So then you find yourself reaching out to people and asking for answers, and that God is trying to train you to hear from him. That can be very, very, very detrimental to your growth. I had a friend like that. She was actually going through a soul tie. And she would call me for advice. Actually, we were breaking the soul tie together. Well, I broke mine. I think she's still dangling somewhere in there. But she would call me for, words or whatever. And then I would give her whatever the Spirit told me. And she would be so confident in knowing that was clear revelation. And then after she got off the phone with me, she's calling this friend, that friend, this friend, that friend. And she'll call me back all over the place. Like, I don't even know which one. Listen, sis. When God have given you solid people or a person, try to stick with that. And let others just randomly come in for a confirmation. But when you're asking people for revelation, you got to be very, very careful with that. You're talking about mind spinning all over the place. Be very careful with that. So that's one reason why I know 2 of them had to be removed. And they're back in my life now. So God removed them for a season to train your ears, or however you hear from him, right? But those kinds will come back, right? Because they were always in the right position to begin with, right? So they will come back. Those ones who maybe you, I don't know, partied with and act the fool, whatever your whatever your definition of acting the fool is, right? Because we all got our own definition. But those ones, they most likely ain't coming back unless they're on a path of growth as well, and God is dealing with them individually, and then you will meet them at the next level, and then you be like, oh, what you doing here? Like, what you doing here? Then it's like, oh, y'all been growing together, just apart, right? But you know them ones that still just straight wilding out, and you can't judge them, right? You can't judge them, because once you get to certain levels, you're looking back like, girl, you still doing this? Or boy, you still doing this 20 years later? But you can't judge them because you once, was doing that nonsense, whatever it was, yourself. So just be keen to listening, to God and however he needs you to move, because some he will, he may send you back to give a word to. Some he's going to tell you don't say nothing ever again. And you got to be okay with that. Relationship wise, or even a marriage. I don't know if you're married, but when he starts pulling these relationships apart, listen, I thank God I had broke my soul tie before the transformational season, because I couldn't imagine being in the transformational season and having a soul tie. You talking about double trouble, double pain, double hurt, double confusion, right? So if he is removing a romantic I'm not even going to touch on marriage, because that's, that's a whole nother thing, but that's between you and God. But if he's breaking up relationships, then there's a good chance, again, that person was never, ever for you to begin with. That was not your kingdom partner, your purpose partner, kingdom spouse, whatever all the different, terms are right now. That was somebody you chose, right? Sometimes God see things that we can't see. I always say that. We think we're so in love. We think we this. And God knows what's going on behind the scene. We just be blind, right? Because we caught up. So we just be blind. So God is trying to release us to protect us. And most importantly, to get us to the person who was always designed for us. Do you know how many people right now are in dead-end relationships and marriages and have been for the last 40 years? And miserable. Like, they don't even know what living is, because they're only used to surviving. So when God starts to pull people from these toxic dead-end relationships and marriages, they're hanging on like a blue crab, claws and all, because they're comfortable, because they're conditioned to think that if we have children together and we have this together, we got to stay together, and hurting the children more than anything. This recording is going to be longer than I thought. I can feel it already. So there's different reasons why he ends these relationships, but I will tell you this without a doubt. 0. It's all for your good. And I know that's so cliche to keep hearing people say things like that over and over, because listen, when I used to hear it, I'm like, man, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. I need to get up out of this storm right now. Listen, I don't want to hear about what he got next season. Mind you, I'm a doer, right? I'm a doer. I'm an A personality. My hands are on everything, and I couldn't do nothing. I had 0 control. So I don't want to hear about no, what he got for you was better and just, it's for your benefit. But I stand firm in telling you, sis, it is true. There are some days that I would just be riding in my truck. I'll just be riding and I'll have this flashback. And I'll be like, God, why didn't you come get me, long time ago? If I knew all the things you had waiting for me, for you, sis, for us. God have so much mind-blowing blessings. I'm talking about peaceful, healthy relationships in marriages. I'm talking about jobs where you're writing your own checks and your own salary. Like, I'm talking about people who will gravitate towards your light and it will come so easy. I'm talking about people who will come and grab your hands because God have gave them a word. Like, it's mind-blowing, the things that we don't even realize what God got for us because we're comfortable and we're content and we don't know what's on the other side. So we're afraid to take a step because, it's like, wait a minute, where am I stepping into? I might be stepping into some quicksand. I don't know what's over there. So we'd rather be safe with what we know. And we're just content and unhappy, arguing every day with these fools, children of God, your girl or your guy, your wife, whoever, arguing every day. You're trying to work and your mind is pinging because they're using reverse psychology on why they didn't come home last night and why this and why. Oh my goodness. Then you're going on a job that every time you pull up in the parking lot, you get that sinking feeling in your gut because you don't even like the job or it's filled with a bunch of toxic people. You're pulling up home and you're sitting in your car 2 hours because you don't want to go on because you'd rather wait until he falls asleep or she falls asleep. That is not living. It's conditioning. It's what we're used to. It's contentment. So when God starts snatching us, we see it as punishment. And it's not punishment. It's love. But it feels like punishment when he starts snatching things and snatching people. So, got to change your perspective and stop seeing it as punishment. I know it hurts, but you're going to have to grieve because you're grieving. You're grieving. When people leave your life, you literally are grieving them. So not only are you grieving the people, you're trying to figure out what God about to take you. You're trying to figure out how you're going to pay this bill. You're trying to figure out. So you got all this stuff going on. And that's why I say you have to be very, very mindful about the people in your lives. If you got some just people who around you who just don't have bird brains and can't give you no type of spiritual downloads or they can't pour into you in any way, you got to really leave them for a minute, right? And you got to find you some people who can pour into you. People who are not going to judge you, but listen to you. And then God will in turn give them a word to pour into you, but you're going to have to be receptive to receiving that word and believing it. So when Satan starts playing up in your mind and telling you the complete opposite of what the person say, and you go get answers from other people, and now you're back mixed up all over the place. Got to be mindful with that. Find your form of worship. Again, everybody's different. Some people like gospel music. Some people just listen to recordings. I like recordings, right? I like Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe. I like, of course, Pastor R.C. Blake's. I like recordings. There's a couple of songs that I like. Listen, and I know the song is not a new song, right? But I just ironically found it maybe like a month ago. I don't know if it's Tasha Cobbs, but Not by Power, by Your Spirit, Lord. Listen. Whoo! You talking about a good worship song. Not by strength, not by power, but by Your Spirit, Lord. I think it's something like that. One of you guys let your girl know in the comment section, right? But so find your worship song and just sit into that thing. It's this guy on TikTok who I've been helping out. He literally, the doctor said he have like 8 months to live. He's only in his 40s and he have 2 young boys, 12 and 9. And he he every time he make a post, it's like he's coming out of his appointments and he's down. He's just like, well, they said, it might be 8 months, but I don't think they're lying because my body is getting weak. Honey, you talking about be up in his messenger? All down his neck? Like, listen here. We're not about to be sitting here claiming what the doctor said. Next thing, turn off Lil Bootsy, right? Because every song he got behind his work, he's in the hospital with tubes all coming out of him, talking over Lil Bootsy. Listen, I love Lil Bootsy, don't get me wrong, right? I love trap music too, don't get me wrong. But during certain times, you can't be playing with just no any kind of people. You gotta have some power behind you. Not no, So I be in his inbox like, listen to this song, listen to this recording, and I'm just flushing him. Like, turn that nonsense off. And he be responding back laughing so hard. But I thank God that he's starting to listen, and he's like, man, oh my goodness, you're right. Because after I listen to some of these songs, like, I feel so filled in my spirit. But you got a man. Boy, you're sitting here struggling because the doctor told you got 8 months to live, right? But you want to know if I got a man. You're like, but I love your heart. Okay, you love my heart, but that has nothing to do. Okay, I don't even know where I got off of that at, but that's a different topic, different day. I don't understand. I just don't understand, people. But so make sure you are filling your spirit up with spiritual things, spiritual words, with people pouring into you, prayer, in fact, all of just whatever works for you spiritually, sis. But I'm going to tell you, I got to go, but I'm going to tell you, I promise you, when you get to the other side, right? And that's another thing, because you're so focused on time. Like, how long? Nobody knows. I told you guys yesterday, mine was 2 years. 2 years, because I kept fighting against the current. So again, make sure you're asking what you should be doing. Because see, sometimes we're just doing what we think we should be doing. It's just natural to try to make it, right? Try to survive. But ask God, what should you be doing? Because that will help shorten your storm, because you're not going against what God is doing. Now you're in alignment, regardless of how bad it hurts, through blood, sweat, and tears. If you're in alignment and you're doing it, I'm telling people, listen, I was talking to this young lady yesterday, and she and I both were just talking about people just don't get it. People don't get it, the importance of obedience. That's all it is. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm trying to really get some people or a person to understand that. It's really not rocket science. Obedience will align you with purpose. Obedience will allow you to allow God to lead, right? And you're behind him. So then it's smooth water. It's not to say you're not going to hit no rough patches, but it's smooth water. But disobedience means you're doing the complete opposite. So if God says, remove that person, and I don't have to tell you why, you just do it. But because we want to, it doesn't feel comfortable, we're going against what he says. And then we're in a storm of itself. And then God walks away from us because of our disobedience. And now we're stressed out trying to figure life out. And we can't even hear from God. Why would you hear from him and you did the complete opposite of what he told you? Obedience is key. Even to the person who was in their feelings about wanting to sleep with their assignment. Obedience is key. Even when it doesn't make sense. God is trying to see if he can trust you. There's one person, I still don't know. I think I questioned God for about 6 months. I'm exaggerating, but he told me to remove this one person. Not like remove them and never speak to them again, but remove them in a sense of like, on regular contact and just hanging out every now and then. And I still don't get it. I still don't get it because I don't see this person as a toxic person, but I gotta just trust that God knows something I don't know, you know? And it's 6 months later and I still don't have an answer. So now, like when he hit your girl up, right? And this is truly a platonic friend. So I don't know. Maybe he's checking for your girl, and I can't see it because women, we like that now. We be thinking guys really are just our friends, and behind the scenes, But I still don't know. And when he hit me up on Messenger like 2 weeks ago, he's like, "Hey, how you been? Long time." And I started to like respond back, and boom, convicted. I said, "Oh, put the phone down. Put the phone down." But obedience is key, guys. I know it hurts. I know it don't make sense. I know it just, but I promise you, when you get there, you're going to be back on the same recording and be like, "Girl, you were so right. God had a whole husband for me. God had a whole business for me. God had healthy friends and people who I network for me. God sent somebody to grab my hand and open doors because they saw my heart. They saw my spirit." You're going to be back on here testifying and helping someone else who's exactly where you are. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.